Hey, what's up, guys? It's Neonta Williams with Black Alabamians for Education, and we are here with our 2025 final legislative talk with State Representative Ontario Tillman, representing
Yes,
District 56.
yes.
Welcome back to the Advocates Chair.
Hey, I'm glad to be back.
We
You know,
listen.
I enjoyed the conversation last time, and I think that you guys do a great job. You know, outside of you being a referee,
That,
that's the only thing I don't.
see, now why you
Other
have to
than that,
throw that in
I
there?
just had to bring that up.
Man, listen, ain't you keep saying to me funny stuff about referees.
Yes,
In a
all those
minute,
bad calls.
listen, in a minute, we gonna need a referee for these conversations because you're not gonna keep talking about referees. And all my life, I had to fight,
I know,
fight and advocate.
I know. We gonna get off them.
I understand, though. I do understand. You know, some of us are a little bit like, let's carry on because you make me uncomfortable when I have to talk about these referees, and I just don't understand it.
Good.
But no, thank you so much for acknowledging the work that we do. We are really blessed to be able to serve the community in this capacity
Oh
with
yeah,
this platform, and so
this is needed. You know, this is needed, and you, like I said, you're doing a great job with it, and I think that is important. I want more and more people
yeah.
to start paying attention to the work that you're doing here.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think with your presence at our table would definitely open up the doors for more people to pay attention. So listen, we won't be long, but we definitely want to get into I think that it's important for us to kind of rewind it back, and probably each time we come together to have these legislative talks, we want to remind people of what happens in Montgomery, Alabama. But before we get to the gump, let's talk about your district, the communities you represent, and then what happens in the day in the life of a state lawmaker.
oh man, it really kind of just depends as far as your, you know, I tell people a lot of times they forget that I was an attorney before I became a representative. So I still have my day job, as I like to say.
What?
But
People don't believe that.
yeah, they really don't.
Yeah.
And most of us do, you know, because technically they call it a part-time job, but it's really not a part-time job. It's a full-time job. Like you can't go anywhere without having to have a conversation,
Yep.
talk to the people, and things of that nature, which that's the part that I do actually like. I like walking into Walmart and, you know, someone want to ask me a question about something. So I represent District 56, as you say. That's the Bessemer area, Lipscomb, Muskota, Oxmoor Valley, part of Ross Bridge, and Shannon Road. So
Okay.
yeah,
Very diverse communities.
yeah.
Yeah.
It encompasses about, I want to say anywhere between 45,000 to like 46,000 people.
Oh, wow.
So it's a huge district. And it's a good district. You know, I do like the diversity in my district where I can talk to a lot of different people from, you know, different income statuses and all of that stuff. So it's a good district, and I'm really proud to serve it. So
Yeah. I think you serve it well. You know, when you represent a diverse district, I mean, you really get to hear the things that matter, the heart of those communities, and you hear the varying responsibilities. And so even in that role, it's very it's not I would imagine it's not difficult, but it definitely keeps you on highs and lows looking at,
yes,
how and really strategizing and also creating partnerships with your colleagues to get some things accomplished for your varying communities. And so yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
because that's the name of the game. For the most part, it is about, you know, relationships and what can you do for your district. The only reason why I'm here is because of the people trusted me to be here. They voted for me. They have the confidence in me. So my primary goal is to serve the people of 56 first. And after that, then it's the 5 million people in the state of Alabama. So that's really how any lawmaker should really look at it. You serve your district first, you do what's best for your district, as well as now you worry about the entire state of Alabama, which that's what we need to focus on as well.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to get to that, talking
Yes.
about the entire state of Alabama. So when you get to Montgomery, what does that day look like for you? In fact, we got session opening.
Yes, and I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah.
January 13th,
Yep.
I want the people to know Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That's when we're in Montgomery. We go into the chamber. Now, this is in the House. Now, the Senate, they kind of do, they got their own, you know, organization of how they operate. But in the House, we go into the House of the chamber at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays, all right? Earlier that day, we have different meetings. So we'll have caucus meetings. We'll have different meetings with our constituents or different, you know, any type of advocacy group that's down there. You normally meet in around that time. And now we go into the chamber and we can be in the chamber from 1 to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. It
The
just
peanut
depends.
gallery, right?
Yes, yeah, the gallery. Everybody sitting
We
up.
call it the
Yes,
peanut gallery.
yes, that's when everybody kind of sitting down looking at us,
Yep.
and that's us conducting the business of the state of Alabama. And then on Wednesdays, that's our committee days. So different committees. So some committee meetings may start at 9 o'clock, and they go throughout the whole entire day. And then after that, some days we do come back in the chamber on that day, depending on what type of legislation that we have to pass. And then on Wednesdays, that's when we go back into the chamber at 9 o'clock, and we kind of continue to pass the legislation. So that's a typical day outside of the. It's hundreds of people that are in the state house daily, and they're coming with different policy, different legislation. They want you to support this. They want to talk about this. Is there something that you can do for this? If it's something you can fight against, if it's something that you can bring amendments to, different things of that nature.
Yeah. Definitely partnering. Definitely.
Yes, yes.
Definitely partnering. I've been blessed to, I guess it's a blessing, I don't know, but as a constituent, as a voter, I'm actually not a constituent 56, but as a constituent of my district and as a voter and just someone from the public who advocates, like I've been to Montgomery for the past several years. I don't go all the time. Every single time you all are in session or in committee, but certainly a part of those education committee conversations, been a part of or present at some other policy meetings as well. And so we just think about, to your point, just the business of the people. It's interesting to see and to witness and to watch how the people that we put down there, some are very vocal and they are active and speak out, and then some will acquiesce to things that you wouldn't expect them to acquiesce to. Like, what? You really? Okay, whatever. But it's good for I think every Alabamian should experience going to Montgomery to see what happens at the state capitol. It's not televised like some of our local maybe
Yes.
school board meetings or state board meetings or city council meetings across the state of Alabama in varying cities, but definitely important for people to be involved.
But see, that's the thing. Everything that we do is recorded. Everything we do is live. People can actually go to, all you have to do is just Google the Alabama House of Representatives, and it'll show all of our committee meetings. It'll show us in the chambers, everything. So if you really want to watch it online, you definitely can. I would prefer you to come to Montgomery. I believe that if you are a more engaged voter, a more informed voter, then you're a better voter. And now you can understand what's really going on. And with us, we learned early. Politics is like 3 Ps, as we like to call it. You have to see whether or not it's personal, whether or not it's political, whether or not it's policy.
I like that.
Once you know that, then you kind of understand the position that the person is coming from.
Yeah, I really, really like that. I'm going to have to remember that, the 3 Ps.
Yes, personal policy, or political.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. I'm a PPP person.
Yes. So
not from the loans alone, but just I get it. My mantra is like parents, policy, and partnerships.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because if it's personal, like for example, the bill that I filed for teacher pay, right? That's personal to me because I was an educator. I was in the classroom. I understand what the principals go through. I understand what the office staff go through, cafeteria staff, coaches. I understand that. So that's personal for me. Yeah. Sometimes it's policy. So if it's something that makes sense policy-wise,
right,
that's what you want to kind of be on. And then also the last one is political. It's a political issue. It's a hotbed issue, something that you may need to fight against, something like, for example, when we were dealing with DEI, things of that nature. So now it's becoming political as well as policy. So you got to try to separate those two.
That's good. That's a great breakdown. Listen, y'all, we're sitting here with State Representative Ontario Tillman, representing District 56. Yes. I can't recall all of the communities that he represents, but I know it's on the western side of
Jefferson County.
Jefferson County, yeah. So we'll be right back. Really excited to get into, you started talking about some of those pre-filed bills that you passed. We want to get back into that, talk about that more, and give you all a reason to follow him, to follow us, and to follow what's happening at the state capitol this legislative session. We'll be right back. I'm Leonte. Hey guys, back. Leonte This is our special legislative talk session with State Representative Ontario Tillman, representing District 56. And let's jump right in. Let's keep going. So we're going into session January the 13th.
13th, you're right.
And you have already pre-filed some bills for you and your colleagues to consider passing this legislative session.
Yes.
So let's talk about those bills.
Well, the first bill that I pre-filed is HB 66, which deals with symbols on your driver license. But the way that it's dealing with it is dealing with any type of what we call invisible medical conditions. So, for example, autism, TBI, things of that nature. So what we want to do is create a symbol where if you are a person who suffers from a invisible medical condition, anything that's dealing with your cognitive behavior, actually, being able to speak, different things of that nature, we want to be able to create a symbol so we can put on your driver's license. So now, if you encounter with anyone who needs your driver license, now they can look at your license and they can understand, okay, this is why this person may not respond in a way that someone else may respond. So we want to kind of protect our vulnerable population, which is, people who suffer from these different type of conditions. So we wanted to be able to create that. I'm actually going through the process of that right now, speaking with a number of the stakeholders like Aaliyah, like Culture City, different people of that sort, so we can try to make the bill more practical. And that's what we're doing right now. Really getting a lot of good response from the bill. And I just hope.
To ask what's been the response.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Yeah,
a lot of different stories on the bill, and I think that once we kind of hash out everything, that to really make it more practical, to really make our law enforcement, agents, whether it's state level, county, or city, so everyone can be trained on it, everyone can be aware of it, so everyone knows what to do if they encounter a situation like that. So we're still working through the process of that, which I think should happen.
Yeah. I love that. I think, not just for law enforcement encounters, but to your point, like anytime we have to turn over our driver's license to someone, that the state is now informed and they recognize that this person may or may not respond as quickly as sometimes people need more time to think, to process, whatever the case may be. So I really love that. I'm excited about that.
And it's optional as well. You can just bring the medical document to your local DMV. And if you want it on your license, it will be. We are discussing which type of symbol to use. My idea originally was the state flower, but we may move it to something else right now. So we're just trying to work through that piece as well.
Got it.
But I think it's something that should happen.
That.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully it comes up into committee early in session, so we can kind of work through it to get it passed. And the other bill that I filed is the teacher pay bill, which is not to increase teacher pay. It's just to change the dynamic of how teachers are paid. Instead of being paid once a month, you're being paid twice a month. That's the only thing that the bill actually does. And it's optional as well. So your local school board can opt into doing it or not do it. But that's something that I think is needed. I think that's something that in today's climate, when we're talking about affordability, we're talking about different things of that nature. I think teachers need to have that option as well, especially when all of the surrounding states, they provide that option. Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, places like that. So to me, how can we say that, we are proud of what we do here in Alabama educational-wise, but we're not offering any incentives to our teachers? I think that can be an incentive. I think that can be something to retain our teachers as well as attract new teachers to come to Alabama.
So true. Yep, because getting paid once a month is a difficulty.
It is.
I mean, you said it's not a bill to increase teacher pay, but I would contend that teachers do need to increase pay.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Significantly increase.
Absolutely agree.
We do have some great things in place, though, for our educators that can also incentivize them to, retain their certifications or to become certified educators, or maybe going into different fields like the STEM field that can make them certified teams teachers to earn additional money throughout the year. But definitely our educators.
Because think about it. Teachers were paid when last week or so in December. They would not get another payment until end of January.
Yeah, pretty much February. Yep.
Yeah. February 1st.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's a long
that's
time
a
to go
long time.
in the holiday season, and they themselves have
Yes,
children as well,
yes,
responsibilities. So yeah, I
yes.
agree. I felt the same way. If I were to put my other hat on when I initially sat down at that board, I was like, hey, wait, what, once a month? Who? No, let's, because I'm thinking about myself, and then we're assuming that there's good financial literacy skills and practicing skills
Yes.
by employees that may or may not be there. So it
Think
would
about it.
better position some people. Yeah.
State legislators were paid once a month.
Hmm.
They changed it to twice a month.
Ah, I didn't know that.
And it's like, why?
Yep. Need that money. Everybody run me my money. You're
Exactly.
earning it. They're earning it,
Yes.
so they might as well get
And
their
you
money.
should be able to budget and use it the way that you want to
Yeah.
use it. Of course, you got pushback.
Yeah.
Of course, you got some people saying they won't make a difference. But to me, I think you should have the option. If we talk about being free,
Yeah.
we talk about having freedom and being able to do different things that we want to do. Why not put it to the vote and let the people vote on it?
Yeah. Yeah. And you have one more, right?
Yes, well, yes, I do. Dealing with data centers,
Okay.
right? I'm still working on that bill too. But what I'm looking at with that bill, not just with data centers, but any type of light industrial businesses that decide to come to Alabama, what we want to do is we want them to focus on brownfields, areas that at one point in time housed different businesses, but now those businesses are no longer there. Like, for example, a gas station, a paper mill, a steel mill, places like that where the land is, maybe contaminated, maybe, different type of issues with the environmental issues with it. So we want you to do is to provide incentives so you can go and repurpose those brownfield areas instead of going directly to green fields or areas where people have land in their families for years and generations. So we want to be able to say, okay, let's go here, which can be good for businesses. We can provide tax incentives as well as federal grants to repurpose those brownfield areas and create a new business there, which you can get rid of the eyesore. You can get rid of all those dilapidated properties, and now you can rechange that.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm working on right now.
Listen, I hope, I really hope you're successful in that. And let me tell you why. So, we're here in Birmingham having this discussion, but Black Alabamians work actually covers the entire state of Alabama. And so we've had our footprint in a lot of different cities, but Neonta is from Gaston, Alabama. And so I literally had this conversation with my father on yesterday about like the US Steel plant that is there, that is definitely a brownfield, and there is nothing happening. And so we were discussing, I was trying to figure out like what could someone possibly do with that land? Are we going to, reinvigorate this steel mill? But it is an eyesore. And so when you look at, what the city could be doing, or what could be happening. So I think that is great to be able to incentivize. 'Cause I don't know how many acres of land it was, but when I was growing up, there were a lot of a lot of people. It was Goodyear.
Yep.
And it was the steel mill that people, U.S. Steel, that people worked at. And I mean, it was great for middle income, created some upper class income individuals. And so now it's like, what do we do with that?
Yes, and it's just there now. So instead of trying to figure out the best way to use it, and a number of states are actually doing this. So they are going to repurpose a lot of those brownfield areas, and they're making them better. And they bringing new industries there, which is helping the community as well. And like you said, those companies were needed, and the same way they're needed now. That's one of the reasons why unions are important. That's one of the reasons why we should always back organized labor, because that's the only thing that can actually hold people accountable, especially in employment. But we kind of want to bash unions and say they're not good. Unions are good. Unions are important, and we need unions because that's the balance that you need between your employer and the employee. Actually having organized labor to hold them accountable, to negotiate, to worry about the conditions of workplace as well as your pay. So you should have the ability to do that.
Yeah. So we talked about those bills, and a couple other things I would love for us to talk about. And one is, obviously, okay, these bills are here, but then how do we get them passed? So who are the people behind the people that would encourage the people to get those passed? So as we look at and I'm sorry, I was just gonna finish that little. So
No,
if
you're
you
fine.
look at, getting people to the polls, right? We have an upcoming election year. 2026 is an election year.
Big year.
The big year, and
Yes.
every single position in Montgomery is up for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when we look at that, January 13th, the session opens, correct?
Yes.
And then we've got our general primary election May
19th.
May 19th,
Yep.
and then
May
general election
is
is
in November of
November.
2026.
So it's a lot we're throwing out at the people.
Yes.
Listen, we will be right back. We're coming right back because I know y'all are all in now. You got itching ears, as my grandma used to say. So listen, we'll be back.
Tell them we're gonna
State
scratch
rep-
up. Yeah, we're gonna scratch the ears.
We're gonna scratch your ears. We got state rep here, Ontario Tillman, District 56. And I'm Neonta with the Advocates Chair, Black Alabamians for Education. We'll be right back. Neonta Williams with Black Alabamians for Education, and we are here we got all these names: Black Alabamians for Education,
Yes,
the Advocates Chair. But today it's legislative talk with Representative Ontario Tillman. I'm so excited about these sessions we're going to be doing.
I know,
because we are really going to be opening up the eyes and ears to the everyday individual about what happens and how things get passed. What are the interests of folks, and hopefully it makes them tap into who their representatives are and ask even more questions. Reach out to us and ask for even more information about what's going on.
And you guys are coming to Montgomery as well. It's going to be sort of like how they mic up NFL players. They'll be mic'd up walking around the State House. Yep. So that's going to be fun, too. Yep. So I'm going to let people know, hey, I'm on. I got a hot mic.
Yeah, I got a hot mic.
Yeah. So that's going to be a good thing. So you kind of come see how everything is done.
So appreciative of
it's going to be fun.
Opening up and letting us come into this space like this. Yeah. It's really a blessing. So all right, so elections, why are they important? Like why does those 3 dates we just gave out, open session, election days, why are they important?
Yes, because it's your political life. Politics is what drives everything around here in this country, in this world, period. So we need to understand that, and we need to be people who are engaged in the political process. So it starts with you advocating for whatever your positions are, whatever the policy that you believe in, as well as voting for people who you believe will carry those policies out. Not just voting because I know this person. No, vote for this person based upon the ideals and the policies or the things that they're going to try to get done for you. It's not about making guarantees or promises. It's about, I'm going to do what's in the best interest of you all. I'm going to fight. I'm going to do whatever I need to do that is going to benefit the district as a whole, as well as benefit the state of Alabama. So, as I said earlier, I do believe in, the things I always say, which is I think an informed voter is a better voter. And I want you to be more informed, to listen to what we're talking about. Not say the old adage that we love to say, I just hate politics. No, we can't do that. We cannot do that and be successful. We have to have a seat at the table. We have to understand what's going on. And we have to be able to hold different people accountable, because if you do not, then they run roughshod over you, and then you wonder why. So we have to be able to do that. So it is paramount to everything that we do. A lot of time people say that, well, my vote doesn't count. That's nonsense. It does count. And we need to get away from that propaganda, because you have a lot of misinformation as well as disinformation out there that is trying to make you stay at home, that want you not to vote, to want you to think that way. And it's critical for you not to. So
that's so true. And y'all, you're hearing it from the mouth of a representative who's saying and who's making this appeal that we need to vote. We need to be informed. Like we need to be an informed electorate. Like we don't need to just go to the polls on election day and receive the large piece of paper with the pre-filled ballot telling you who to vote for. Mm-hmm. You should know our right to vote is the one thing that has been given to us outside of breadth of life. Mm-hmm. That we should value to the very end. People literally, and it's deeper than just people losing their lives, but every day. And honestly, not to minimize the individuals who have lost their lives or been harmed or damaged and no longer here with their loved ones, for us to have the right to vote. in as much as that, every single day we are experiencing things that are impacting our day-to-day lives. Like,
Yes.
and to your point, people say, well, I hate the government, I don't like the government involved in my business, I don't want the government in my business. If you are born, the government is in your
In your
business,
business.
because if you are born, you must have a birth certificate. That
Yes.
is a government document.
Yes.
And so, from inception, without you even, having a choice as to whether or not the government is in your business. If you go to school, the government is in your business.
Yes.
If you drive a vehicle, there is a pothole in the road, the government is in your business.
Yeah, because government serves a purpose. It does. Regardless of how people try to minimize having a government in your life, it serves a purpose. When you have a natural disaster, who are you calling?
Yeah.
The government. When there are different things that go on when it comes to education, for some reason, people don't understand that's a state issue. That's a state government. Local, that's a local city government. County, that's a county government. So we have to really understand that. I think that something that we should do more, which is focus more on civics in school, civics and economics in school. I think we should pay more attention to that. Some of those other subjects we can kind of push to the side, but those are things that we definitely need to focus on each and every day, because our students, our kids need a foundation of understanding how this works, understanding the levels of government, understanding the federal, state, county, and city. So now you become a better advocate for what you want, instead of you thinking that I'm calling the governor to change a street light.
Yeah.
It don't work like that.
Yep.
So we need to understand how this work and the policy and the things that we're trying to push forward. So we need to be aware of that.
Yeah, so true, so true. And even as you talk about that, like we're talking about this kind of from a local level, but
Yes.
we are in a, what happens nationally impacts
Yes.
local, statewide, and local governments, especially being in the southern states. When you talk about Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, we are essentially all attached at the hip. Like we are first cousins, we are siblings. Our parents are these states, and we are relatives to one another. And so, what I mean by that is, whatever happens in Alabama, if we're doing it first, it's going to happen in Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, and vice versa. And so, that being said, we as in the country is in the process of paying, those that are paying close attention to this case in Louisiana that's dealing with redistricting maps. And so, Alabama, right here in Birmingham proper, in Shelby County, we've had our fair share of that. But
Shelby v. Holder.
Right, Shelby v. Holder. That is it's a big deal. Supreme Court ruled in our favor, but now you have Louisiana, who is potentially ruling not in the favor. And when I say our, I mean the favor of the people, so that the right to vote and not be discriminated against remains intact for us. But Louisiana is looking at something different, which is going to have a ripple effect across the country, potentially on who represents you. And so, can you talk a little bit about that? I know you're an attorney, but and I know, I'm sure you probably kind of keep your thumb to the pulse to that. But let's share something a little bit about that. And
well, like you said, we actually did something similar here in Alabama. I want to say my second year in the legislature. We did it for District 2, which is who's currently being held by Congressman Shamari Figures. That district, we had to create and redistrict that area. And what we had to do is present a candidate that the voters would like to choose. The voters have to choose that particular candidate. So when you're looking at the population, as far as the demographics, as far as race, I forgot the exact numbers, but it was around like 47 to whatever the percentage was. You wanted to make sure you balance that percentage off and give the black voters in that area the opportunity to pick a candidate of their choice. So that was the whole basis of doing that. And it's a similar thing in Louisiana, which is they're trying to argue, they're saying that you shouldn't be able to use race as the predominant factor in choosing the candidate of your choice. So that can be very devastating depending on how the Supreme Court rules. So we hope that the Supreme Court adheres to the law and the statute and the case law that's already preceding this to kind of stay in tune with that. Because you should want to be able to pick the voter of your choice, the candidate of your choice. You should be able to elect that particular person. So something that you just said earlier, as a small example, saying what your grandmother said, sound like your ears are itching, right? You want somebody who understands what you mean by saying that.
Yeah, who speaks the language.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to have someone in the room that is willing to speak up and say, no, in my community, it's going to affect us this way.
Yes.
And this community is going to affect you this way. This is the reason why we are all sitting at this table. So I can voice the concerns of my constituent, of my community, to let you know that this is going to impact us in a different way.
Yeah.
So you want that person in the room instead of a person who's not familiar with what you're doing, or even trying to put in the work to become familiar with what you're doing or what you're going through. So it's going to be a very significant case.
Yeah. It is, and I appreciate you breaking it down like that. All of that being said, like, representation matters.
Yes.
And if this case in Louisiana is not found in favor of allowing representation to matter, I think I'm concerned about the ripple effect that it's going to have across other states across the country where redistricting can occur, and it doesn't consider the race of the individuals that are being represented. And so you're going to have more gerrymandering happening, which is already taking place, but at an unprecedented level.
Yeah, you can look at Texas.
Absolutely. Look at Texas, what's happening. And so then you have to have elected officials in other states, like a Gavin Newsom in California, who's trying to counteract that with, like, okay, if you want to create more seats of one political party over the other, then we're going to counteract and create more seats in the opposite political party. So it is that P that you talked about in the 3 Ps, when politics is involved. And so, guys, we're sitting here with State Representative Ontario Tillman. You, sir, are freaking awesome.
I appreciate that.
I love the intellect that you have and just your commitment to community and service. Listen, turn to the camera. Let them know where we at, what's happening. Encourage the dates that are important. And,
yes. Well, January 13th, we already talked about that a lot. Also, please go to my Facebook page, my social media pages. You can kind of see a lot of the different things that I'm doing in the community, as well as some of the legislation that I will pre-file, and hopefully we can get it passed. I appreciate having this type of platform. You guys really don't understand how important having something like this, where you can come in and have these different type of conversations, because we need to know, and our people need to know, and it needs to be coming from our people so you can understand what we're talking about and what we're doing here. So I think this is great. My job is to, like I said earlier, to represent District 56, but I also care about all 5 million people in the state of Alabama, because not having health care affects all of us. Not having affordable prices affect all of us. So we need to be able to look at our neighbor and take care of each other the way that it's supposed to be, because I promise you, we have more in common than not. And we need to start looking at that more and understanding that if we organize, we can demand and get whatever we want, because we are the majority. We are the majority of the people. So we need to start looking horizontally instead of identifying vertically, and then things would change.
I love that. Y'all heard it. I have anything else. I'm Neonta Williams with the Black Alabamians for Education, the Advocates Chair Legislative Talk Session. We'll see you in 2026, and we hope to see you in Montgomery too.